Hey, it's Brad with BGS, and today I'm going to go over how you can increase your revenue and elevate your Google Shopping game with a few simple hacks. Now, if you're not currently using Google Shopping as a channel, you're just leaving money on the table. Because first, it's free, and second, customers are actively searching for your product, so they're going to be more likely to convert. Okay, so again, I'm Brad with BGS. I'm a revenue optimization expert with BGS, and I help our clients grow and scale their business. And I'm also an instructor and coach with our e-commerce business blueprint, which is our beginner's level course. Okay, so to begin with, I just want to say that we are not a media agency, so I'm not going to go over the Google Shopping, the campaign structures and bidding strategies and things like that. Instead, I'm going to go over things on the Shopify end of the spectrum because that's super important, and probably the most complicated thing is your shopping feed app. Okay, so to begin with, if you do not already have one, you need to set up a account with Google in the Google Merchant Center. Okay, so these are the first things you need to do if you are not currently doing Google Shopping. You need to create your Google Merchant Center account, and that's at merchants.google.com, and I'm going to have the link in the description. And once you set that up, it's very easy. It kind of walks you through everything. Once you do that, then you need to go to ads.google.com, and that's where you set up your ads account, and that's where you set up your different campaigns. So the Merchant Center account is where the shopping feed lives. The ads account is where you actually set up your bidding, your daily budgets, and your actual shopping ads. Okay. Got to remember with Google, they never make things like really easy. They kind of overcomplicate things. As engineers, they don't think like normal people do. Okay, if you're an engineer, sorry, but not sorry. Okay, so create your Google Merchant Center account, then create your ads account, and then you link the two. So now you need to send the feed to Google, and the easiest way to do that, really the only way to do that I would say with Shopify, is going to be with an app. Okay, and this is going to be tip number one. Instead of using the native Shopify app, go ahead and use a third-party app, and the one that I really like is called Feed for Google Shopping. It's by Simprosys. Okay, and you can find that in the App Store. Okay, and I'm going to show you the difference between the two and why you want to go with a third-party app. Okay, so I've just created a product in my Shopify store. This is a comic book. It's Fantastic Four number 286. In near mint condition, it's the return of Jean Grey from the X-Men. For years, she was like dead, and then, of course, no one in comics ever really dies, and she's brought back to life. So I've created this product, but now I need to edit the feed because there's some things that you need to do before it will even show up in the Google Shopping results. Okay? Now, if I go with the free native Google Shopping app from Shopify, and you can do it in the App Store, or you can actually just add Google as your channel, you would go to More Actions, you'd go to Google Fields, and then you can complete these fields. The most important is going to be your Google product category. However, it doesn't auto-populate anything for you with the existing Google product categories because they have to be exact. And you have to go into your list of product categories. It takes you to this link, and then good luck finding it because everything in Google is just, again, kind of overcomplicated. So that is the native feed, and then you fill out all the fields that you can, and then you click Save. Okay, now I'm going to go into my third-party app. So instead of going to Google Fields down here, I'm going to go to Edit for Feed for Google Shopping. This is my app, and you're going to see how better it is. Okay, so if you go here, if I need to change my title, I can do that, or my description. This is not changing anything in Shopify. It's only changing it on Google Shopping. Okay, so if there's an error or if I notice a typo, I can go ahead and change that. You can tell it what channels within Google for it to submit. So you can do Google Shopping only, or you can also do Google Display Ads or Surface across Google. Okay, this is the really cool thing, and this is Why I say the categories really don't make sense, because they will have the most obscure thing in the world and they'll have that as a Google product category, but other really common things like comic books are not a Google category. For example, let's say I want to do, let me just type in here, and it auto-populates, which is awesome here. Let's say I'm doing, bassoons. Okay, so let's say I'm selling a bassoon part or bassoon reeds. Okay, pretty obscure, right? However, if I go to comics, nope, nothing. Let's say manga. Manga's like super popular, right? Nope, nothing manga. Anime? Nothing anime. Okay, so again, you have to find the closest one, and it's easiest thing to do is just start typing in kind of keywords until you find a category that fits. So this is a comic book. I'm just going to say media books. Okay, and that's the specific Google product category. It has to be a category that Google has mapped out already. Okay, then you complete these items here. Another feature, you have more items, and the ones that are also important are going to be condition, gender, and age group. And it has an adult-oriented field. So if you're doing like art, or even with my comics, you might have art, you might have movies, you might even have t-shirts or things like that that may be a little bit more risque or adult-oriented, where you do not want minors to have access to it. You can just check this if it's adult-oriented or not. Okay, you can also submit as a custom product, like your POD and private label, where you're the only one that's selling it and no one else. Or if it's a mass-produced item and it has a GTIN barcode, you just submit it with that. Or if you're in between, which comic books, they didn't have barcodes from the 70s and earlier, or even a lot of the shirts and apparel that I have. Or if you're drop shipping from like AliExpress, okay, they're not going to have barcodes for those items, but other sellers are going to be selling them. So then you can do the submit brand name and the SKU number. Okay, and then once you're finished, you just scroll down, update product. Okay, tip number 2, if you already have a ton of products, this has amazing bulk editing options where you can bulk edit everything in your feed. You can filter it out, so it makes it really easy. And what could take like just forever with the standard Google Channel app within Shopify can just take you like minutes with this app. Okay, so that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is you can set up default settings. So I go to sync settings from Shopify, and I'll scroll down here and I can set up my defaults for my main categories, my main settings, including the Google product category. So if you're doing POD and 90% of your items are shirts, just go ahead and say my default settings are going to be apparel and accessories, clothing, shirts, and tops are going to be my default. My default age group's adult. Default gender is going to be unisex. Condition is new, and these are going to be submit brand name and the SKU number, because these are not, for my example, custom products. And I click save, and then my defaults are always going to be that. But then I can always change it when I upload. After I create a product, I can go in and change anything that's different. It just takes a second to do. Super easy. This can save you a ton of time by setting up these defaults. Okay, tip number, is it 3 or 4? I don't know. But let's go and let me show you this, because this is amazing. Automated rules for your feed. So if I click that, let's say I'm doing POD and I've got 5 different colored shirts. Well, as you may have discovered, especially with supply chain issues that's happening during COVID, sometimes your supplier may be out of stock in a certain colored shirt. So if someone is searching for your item, but they're searching for maybe pink shirts, and they click on your item, you don't want them to click on it, especially if you're doing paid bids, and not purchase because you're out of stock. The easiest thing to do is if you make a rule, if inventory quantity equals 0, and this includes any of your variants, then it is excluded from the feed. It will not show up, okay? Likewise, you can do a lot of really cool things with this. Let's say I want to create another rule. I want to exclude it from my feed. Okay, I'm going to add a rule. And let's say my rule is if my price is less than, let's say, $30, and my product type contains, let's say it's a hoodie, then it will be excluded from my service across Google, Google Shopping, and my Google display ads. Okay, so this could come into play if you have certain items that are maybe low margin and high margin. So maybe you want to just totally exclude your low margin items from the feed. Or let's say you're doing a big sale, okay? Or if you're having like a closeout, if you're cutting the price just to blow it out of inventory, maybe you don't want people to click on that and you want to exclude that. So this is where you can do it. In this case, if I have a hoodie that's less than $30, it will not even show up in the feed, but any hoodie above $30 will show. Okay, great if you're running like closeout sales or just a sale in general. Or you can know by vendor. If you have vendors that are certain vendors, you may have lower margins, so you may want to exclude those vendors from your feed. But then all your other vendors are okay. You could even do this for certain things in your feed too. So I can make a rule if my product is a certain age group, then it'll exclude adult products or different things like that. With custom labels, I use custom labels where I can segment my campaigns. It's getting a little bit more advanced, but just all kinds of awesome things. Maybe I have a segmentation where I have a custom label for my higher margin items, and then I can basically say anything from these vendors will have that custom label, so it'll be included in my higher bid campaign for my higher margin items. Okay, lots of really powerful rules that you can set up. All right, so that is it for today. Again, just to recap, if you're not doing Google Shopping, go ahead and do it. Worst case, it's free. And typically, I would recommend trying the pay-per-click. And it's pretty easy to get positive ROAS, your return on ad spend, because people are actively searching for your product. Okay, so my tips are to use a third-party app instead of the native Shopify one. Okay, and with this third-party app, you can do bulk edits, you can set up your default settings, and you can create powerful automations for your Google feed that's going to set you up for success. All right, that's it for today. If you liked this video, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you would like assistance building, growing, or scaling your business, go ahead and go to workwithbgs.com and we can help you build, grow, and scale. And I will see you next time.